Okay.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we are going to record this meeting and the recording will also be made available after. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So, okay, I'm Doc Phil, and I would like to share with you this topic: emotional intelligence, a key factor to business analysis, context, and success. So, in this, we can say a dynamic environment that we have. Maybe as reading in our introduction, some are business analysts, some in the other field, but nevertheless, this topic is actually um, a challenge, no, in this dynamic environment that we have right now. So, but before we discuss about furthermore about this particular word, which is the emotional intelligence. So, actually, let's define it first. No? So, let's define the word. How are we going to go all throughout with this session? So, it is actually an ability. Okay, ability on how are we going to manage, understand our own emotions. Like what I've said, we are in a dynamic environment coming from the different profession, but nevertheless, in one organization we have one goal, but different problems may arise, no, on how are we going to achieve those targets. And it's part of that is how are we going to overcome those challenges and conflict. Okay, but in this, with what we call emotional intelligence, or EI, or sometimes it is called EQ. Okay, it helps build stronger relationship. Okay, not only on the school, of course, at work and the career that we have. So maybe we call it as part of maturity on how are we going to address such challenges that we encounter in our own workplace. It is also a way for us to connect with our feelings and turn that into an opportunity, maybe. So I call that an opportunity, not so much on the conflict or problems, but an opportunity for us to improve, okay? For us to mature, and how are we going to deal ourselves with others despite of these difficulties. Okay, so commonly, there are different types of intelligence. No? So that's why I try to compare it first with what we call IQ, okay, or even personality traits. Okay, so let's try to have this like this. So think of IQ as your hardware. No, so the IQ itself is the ability to internalize the information, the process the problems, and think critically. However, when we talk about personality, this talks about the traits are more than the hardware. So whether you function as an introvert or extrovert, or even avoiding the conflict, makes you react to the change. So technically, that's personality. That's what we're referring to, personality. Okay, let's have an example. Okay, so you are an IT manager. So a person named Ken tends to be a quiet guy. So that's a personality who learns new software incredibly fast. So that's technically the intelligence. No, he's quite passionate about IT security, which is an asset to the company. But if you get him going on the topic, he doesn't know when to stop. So that's already EQ. So Ken can learn to recognize others' body language and tailor his behavior to fit to the surroundings or environment. So that's already what we call EQ. Okay, so maybe you have already identified it's the difference, right? Okay, so how about looking at this figure? So what's the difference between an IQ and EQ? So let's try to compare it. So in an IQ compared to EQ, it is IQ refers to ability to think. Okay, for an EQ, it's already the ability to feel. Okay, so when you get through school, on EQ, you get through life. So what's the reality about life? So in IQ, not possible to raise IQ level, but in EQ, it is possible. Okay, so in IQ cannot be earned, but in EQ can be learned. Okay, so I also have here, no, so meaning if we have this, like I mentioned, that EQ can be learned, so it can also be low and turn into high. Okay, so with respect to aggressiveness, okay, with respect to easily distracted, no, with respect to resistance to change. Okay, so like I mentioned, I always mention the word dynamic because that's how that's how our environment now. Looking at it, that in a workplace that we are in, we are composed of different generations. No? And then there's the millennials, the Gen Z, and so on. So that's how flexible it is. From time to time, I really talked with HR practitioners on what strategy do they do, no, with respect to the different type of generations of people. No, so at least I have this information on how they treat these people, no? Specifically the millennials and the Gen Z. So the basic behavior of those people is they get easily bored and they want really challenges. No? That's how aggressive they are. Okay, so prior to the discussion, so let me just give you some of the characteristics of emotionally intelligent people. Okay, so number one, they embrace change. No? Every time that they see a change in the system, they love to embrace new, no, because they are explorative. Okay, so they have also a strong sense of self-awareness. Okay, they show empathy towards others. They pursue progress, not perfection. So they understand that nobody's perfect, no, and from failure we learn from our own failures. Okay, and despite of that, they want a balanced life, no, time with the family, time for work, time for, let's say, recreation, and so on. And they are also curious and eagerness to learn, no? So I don't know why, because with the continuous studies that I had, maybe I can be classified under this, but I cannot say it's 100%. Like what I have said, it is always a continuous learning to reach that period. Okay, and then express themselves assertively, no, and dealing with people, no, they are very conscious of the words they used to use in the workplace. No? Later on, I'll expound more onto that. And they are positive enough to accept feedback. So I think that's one of the important thing that classification or the characteristics that we can observe if those people that we have or we encounter are emotionally intelligent. No, if you're going to classify that, there's a high grade for that. No, so in reality, I tried to search further. There's actually an assessment for this, no, and there's a lot of level as well. No, sa part, I think this is commonly administered by industrial psychologists. No, so that's part of on improving the culture and at the same time the development of its people. No, um before I proceed, I would like to quick assess, no, if you're going to, given the characteristics, um, how are you going to assess yourself? Are you in the 25%, 75%, or 100%? Just chat in the box. Chat your answer in the chat box. Are you 100% emotionally intelligent? 50, 75%, 100%? Just to assess. Yeah, that's to make this interactive. Anyone? Yeah, just type your answer in the chat box. Wow, that's good. No? That's good, Aaron. 99%. So nevertheless, still 1% for improvement, right? Oh, 25%, 50, 1%. Okay, so that's good. So I think this is a good way that you absolutely, that's 80%, 50. Okay, so that's trigger my energy to share more about on this topic. Okay, going back. Okay, so going back, so let me just share with you that it is actually an American psychologist named Daniel Goleman. So actually popularized and conducted further research about emotional intelligence. So actually there are 5 key pillars for this. So the self-awareness, excuse me, the self-management, motivation, empathy, and relationship management. So allow me to discuss each one, each. Okay, so the self-awareness, it is actually, okay, actually the ability to recognize emotions, the strength, and what's important is how are we going to the ability to understand our weakness and your emotion that can affect your thoughts and behavior. So technically, um, self-confidence is an important aspect of self-awareness because you need to trust yourself. At the end of the day, you need to trust yourself, no? As a business analyst, as a leader, maybe I call it as a leader, to judge our own emotions, and that will affect our decisions in our workplace. Okay. The second one is what we call self-management. Okay, so it is the ability to control your emotions rather than having them control you. Sometimes if you're angry the whole day, or you are angry in the morning, your performance might be affected the whole day, right? So negative emotions and impulsive behavior may take it negatively from you. But from that, take note, you have to control yourself because at the end of the day, it will still reflect of who you are. This type of pillar or elements really develop me. When you're in the academe and um, when engineering is an quota course, meaning you have to control the performance of the students. If it doesn't qualify, you need to remove him or her in the program. I encounter a lot of parents. Someone is very angry, someone is crying, and then after crying, another parent will come that he will request and something like that. So I need to control my emotions. No? So something like that. So meaning this is again, conflicts or issues like this at the workplace will really help you. It's all about on how are we going to control that emotions and take that opportunity for us to improve uh, with respect to our maturity and acceptance to the different type of people. Okay. The third one is, this is very important, in the workplace, motivation. I still remember when we started this pandemic. Many definitely we encountered different changes, maybe so that resulted to conflicts or issues, a different approach, different type of system. But nevertheless, motivation is very important that we need to move on we need to overcome those setbacks and obstacles that will keep us push forward. No, imagine if you're a leader and then or a business analyst that you need to deliver at a certain period and you need to achieve those KPIs. No? The fourth one is, for me, this is very timely and important in this time. We have different status in life, different challenges in life, but it is a way for us to understand, to connect emotionally with others. Working in a virtual world like email, with social media messages, we don't, that's a different way. We cannot see their emotions, but then those words can make difference to their interpretation. And that's one of the disadvantage of communication virtually. No, so and at the same time, it is considered as a skill when we negotiate both internal and external with stakeholders and customers. And then the fifth one is relationship management. So this talks about interpersonal skill. So it is an ability, a genuine ability for us to develop the trust, the rapport, and then the respect from the colleagues. You know, commonly if we attend some leadership training seminars, it is actually will always define a good manager. No? Given the management skills, on how are we going to inspire people, guide and develop them, and it will totally take effect. You know, whether the boss is there, the operation must continue, and that's how you empower. I think the word here is empowering people to achieve the performance and productivity of the organization. Okay. So what are now the signs of a strong EQ? No? How are we going to know? Okay, so I have 7 here. No, so number 1, you are getting along well and with the interest in other. You know, although you don't like that, but that's part of the game. That's part on how to deal with people. So that means you are leading towards a strong EQ. You are self-aware. You are aware of your own strength and weaknesses, and you accept that. And sometimes in a team, you have to accept also the weakness of your team members. No? And from that, you maximize those strengths and weaknesses in achieving your goal. Okay, the third one, operating with integrity. You know, that's very important in a team. No? Sometimes it may be questionable, but nevertheless, trust and integrity within the organization will give you an let's say an assessment that you are leading towards a strong EQ. Okay, and then self-awareness of the feelings of you and others. Okay, and then present focused, meaning you are visionary enough that you accept what is today and what you want to happen tomorrow. Okay. The sixth one is self-motivated. You know, self-motivation is really an important thing, as if you are on the middle management, or if you're a business analyst or a manager, because this talks about how will your members will look at you, no? And how you consider the difficulties and take the lead, no? Giving the opportunity of diversity or dynamic environment, yet you focus yourself to achieve the goals and objectives of your team or your organization. And of course, well-placed boundaries. Some this is more on about the culture and ethics within the organization. But if you know how to set boundaries, it's also a way that you know to understand the condition, or what we call the limitation, I mean, in the workplace, as a friend, or even as a boss, or even as a subordinates. And that's a good way that you are in the EQ. Okay, so given the 7 signs, may I know again, if you're going to assess yourself, where are you now with respect to strong EQ? Again, before I can continue, let me see again your answer. Is it by percentage again? 50, 20%? I'm looking forward with the answer of Aaron. Okay, so how are you now if you're going to assess yourself? How many percent with respect to? Okay, so I think Arlene said it's 50%. How about for the others? No, just wow, Manu is 90%. No, okay, 50. No, so how about the others?
Good question, Doctor. So with
Yeah.
Of the 7, right? Of the 7, of the, say what you say, 7 main factors that determine emotional intelligence, and I think one of those is you said it's like getting along, right? I think you said it was getting
Yeah.
along, and essentially when does that mean that you can sacrosanct, or you can sync along with others, meaning like hey, in a conversation between between 2 people, you're able to emotionally you're able to emotionally listen to what they're saying, you're getting along, meaning you're happy, or is it just like you're getting along at work, and after work you're like you're like I don't after work you're like where the communication, the EQ is not there. So like what percentage would that put you at?
Yeah, actually, like I mentioned before I start, there's a complete assessment for this. But what I've shown to you, the seven, that's only a sign. So that can be a start. But into details of the assessment, there's still questions. Maybe you're going along because something like there's part of the work. No, there are things that beyond work or something like that. So actually, there's more details, but those are the signs that you are leading towards achieving a strong EQ. Okay.
And then there's seven main signs, and I think that was seven. So there's self-awareness, operating with integrity, self-awareness of feelings, present focus. How do you judge if somebody's number 6 self-motivated, self-motivated or not, or they're self-motivated or not, or they lack communication skills, they're more introverted, they everything is they internalize everything, meaning they internalize everything, and they're like it's like, no, I don't want to communicate with others because I don't want to bother them, they'll think that it's bothering them. So what
Yeah,
do you do?
maybe what we can add here, the self-motivated, is how the level of your self-initiative. In the workplace, sometimes that if somebody is totally loaded, and sometimes you initiate on how are you going, you can contribute to lessen the burden of your colleagues. That's already a part of the self-motivation. Okay, because you are directed towards the achievement of the goals or targets of the team.
Okay. So you're based on your optimization or your workload, you offer to help. You offer to help, but it's not like. But if it's like, what if it's like, hey, it's my task. This is my task,
Yes,
as opposed to somebody else's
yes.
task. How do you say that? No, you don't internalize that. I mean, right? So internalize that feeling where you're able to communicate able to communicate within barriers that you're able to resolve feelings of internal doubt or internal guilt, and be able to say, no, let's get along together, let's be present focused. Well, present focused mode, good awareness of feelings and integrity. And I think that was really key, sir. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. So let me just share with you. This is actually a research conducted, related by Goldman. Is one of the advocate for emotional intelligence. So in the study, skills that distinguish star performance, in entry-level jobs up to the executive position, it was found out that the single most important factor was not actually IQ, okay, advanced degrees, or even technical experience. It was EQ, but that based on the studies, the competencies required for excellence in the performance. So 67% were emotional competencies. So that's according to Goldman 2014. Okay, so some of these findings was able like this, that over 1 in the 3 hiring managers, it was found out that 71% said it is more important than IQ, and even 59% even said that they wouldn't hire someone with high IQ and low EI or EQ. Okay, so more on with the findings that one of the study also of manufacturing supervisors following EI or EQ training revealed significant improvements, such as the loss of time accidents reduced by 0.5%. Okay, with respect to the grievances of the people. So because of the transition and giving emphasis to EQ development of employees, so reduced 20%. And in terms of productivity, in terms of the revenues and the sales, it went up because of that program. So why do employers value EI over IQ? So that's the question. So with that, these are the results of the studies. Usually, in order of the importance of employers, say it's because those with high EI, they usually remain calm under pressure. I worked before in manufacturing, and the pressure is really high. Because the production line should not stop, and every time it's a quality issue, so it's a big thing. So what they do, specifically manufacturing, they keep calm and call a meeting, and every problem believes that every problem there's always a solution. And number two, they resolve conflict effectively, meaning collaborative decision, and it's a group decision. Number three, empathetic to their colleagues and act as much as respect and trust will always be there. The fourth one is leading by example. If they want to call for a meeting, be on time, and at the same time be that it's all about the culture, and then the culture of being on time and responsible enough to deliver with the agreed things to do. Okay. And the fifth one may put more consideration into business decision. So every time that they encounter conflict, they always, we have a problem like this, we have a problem like this. At the end of the day, we need to make decision because this is the vision or the target of the organization. Okay. So next is that one study also in the surgeons in malpractice suits were less likely to be sued when they spent additional 3 minutes doing such like making orientation on the comments, using reassuring the language. Now this is more on the findings on the medical field, conveying empathy and concern. Okay, so with that, the HR and hiring managers report the top behaviors and qualities of employees with a high EI or EQ. So to attain these qualities, they were able to consider like recognizing the emotions, registering other emotions, figuring it out, triggering the emotions, and how are they going to manage emotional information with their colleagues. Okay, so that's part of handling pressure, criticisms. That the criticism should be a culture that it also, the objective of that is to improve the process, not taken personally to the person, something like that. Okay, so how are we going to, based from that studies, so these are the recommendations with relation to EQ. Okay, so be mindful of take note of the non-verbal communications. Okay, facial expressions and movements. So that's part of maybe the development on how to express yourself with respect to body language, gestures that will help to reduce stress. Okay, and then be connected of your emotions. Okay, that will also help you to be positive enough to handle those conflicts. Okay, and a practice of having an effective conflict resolution. Although I know, for example, if there are grievances or any conflict between employees, how are they going to handle that? So with appropriate privacy and due process. Okay. Also from that, this conclusion that you need to practice appropriate words, when we address those, when we talk with people or deal with people. So keeping conversation centered on the present. So always going back to the objective of the meeting. Okay, and somehow be ready to forgive others just to end conflict. It's easier to say, but easier to say that these are the recommendation, but it's all about maybe on the top management on how are they going to take those conflicts into positive opportunities. So take note of this. It's easier to say that there's a conflict, but it's only about in the top management or with leaders of that organization to always look at it on the other side. That conflict will can always be turned into positive opportunities. Okay. So these are, allow me to share with you also some of the, I can say, the EQ mistakes in business operations. So sometimes emotions play a tangible role in the business world. So it is the manager's skill on how to make the EQ be dominant enough, no, that will serve as a guide and encouragement among employees or subordinates. Okay. And the second one is the body language and the non-verbal cues that need to be read and understand, okay, or understood. So from this, the second item, this talks about, no, be connected to the word empathy, being able to read the rooms and then the concerns of fellow employees at all levels, take note, that can give them a good communication, understand the situation, and that can foster good communication and leading to a greater productivity among the members. Okay. The third one is getting to know your team is a critical for success. Sometimes I do understand that we have in a different type of organization, maybe different type of approach, but nevertheless, all these organizations always want success to achieve those to achieve those targets set, by the organization. So on a micro level, a manager who doesn't know who is striving for promotion and why, or can be overwhelmed enough at home, is unable to optimize the performance of his team. Sometimes this can lead to missed targets or even lost opportunities and even productivity. And can also be leading to frustration and turnover. So sometimes we really have to know the 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 capabilities, of our people, specifically the level of EQ. Okay, that's the reason why some of the HR practitioners now are using EQ as a way for them to assess, for them to know, like what we call the training needs assessment, what we call the TNA, for how to continuously improve their employees. So the fourth one is adapting to your company culture is essential. So it is very important that our team members or subordinates or even our colleagues should be able enough to, that's part of maybe from the start of the hiring requirements, that if your organization is different enough, it will, or meaning difficult to adjust with the culture. So that's important that we inform them and we uh, train them on how to continuously adjust with the culture of what we want in the organization. Let's have an example here. What does an employee with high EQ like? So I have here a simple situation wherein a team leader, Jennifer, is highly frustrated about a project and wants to yell at someone. So that's a self-awareness. That's part of the what we call the pillar, right? So however, she recognizes that wouldn't be productive or reflect well on her ability to manage the project or her team. So that's part of maturity and social skills that we're talking about. So she takes a walk around the building to clear her head and focus on potential solutions. So he tried to go out, be relaxed, just to calm herself. So that's part of maturity. At least you are controlling your emotions. So when she gets back, she discusses these solutions with her team and guiding them back into productivity. So that's rapport or self-management already. Okay. So that's a simple situation wherein EQ was already there. So given that particular situation, this is recommendatory. I tried to search other things on how to develop emotional intelligence. Okay, so number one, excuse me, expose yourself to a range of perspectives. No, like I always mention, attending training like this, no, or a webinar is getting some other perspectives. Those are way wherein we can get, no, we will not directly learn from our experience at work, but this one will give us other perspectives, positive perspectives that will help us improve our EQ. Try new things and escape from your comfort zone. Yeah. Maybe, something like a very good example is, I studied from different schools and universities, and I learned from the different, maybe different approach, different type of learning, but nevertheless, I tried to go out of my comfort zone, and it helped me to be matured enough the different approaches. And then with that, yeah, I was able to meet different type of people, younger and older than me, and it helped me, as far as with my experiences. At the same time, um, before I'm a vice dean of the College of Engineering with my previous job, and I transferred to other university as the College of Engineering dean. No, and now I'm here in the PUP. I met a lot of people, and before I just focus on my comfort zone, and with that experience, so uh, I was able to go out and acceptance that we are different, and I need to accept that reality. Okay. The third one is reflect on your emotional responses and to understand them better. Now, I think the simple explanation for this is we need to understand that nobody's perfect, and we have to accept that we have strengths and weaknesses individually. And all we have to do is to understand them, and how are we going to use that, on how are we going to interact with others and share that with others. Okay. The fourth one is listen actively and notice body language. So this one is quite a different. It requires a lot of experience and maybe learning. So and it's a good thing that you guys are here to hear some like this, that will help us that everyone, each and every one of us is unique enough that we have different way of expressing ourselves, verbal and non-verbal. Okay. The fifth one is integrate compliments and criticism. No? So like a lot of things that we can say that a successful person always encounter failures. And that's a good thing. No, that's a good acceptance that nobody's perfect. No one started from 10 right away. Everyone started from 0, and we learn from it. And learning from each the failure that we encounter, that's a way on how are we going to develop also our EQ. Okay, so how emotional intelligence can make you a better leader, no? Or as a better business analyst, maybe a middle manager, no? So it is suggested that um, the importance of business success has been around for years, but leaders still think touchy and freely about the nonsense. Okay, so EQ can actually make or break a person's career. No, just looking around, there's always looking around with the difficulties, maybe with the task that we are in, difficulty on handling people, but we have to work. Um, what do we call? We have to work smart enough to deal with those difficulties. No, I think that's a good word. No, we have to do it smartly. No, sometimes before we use the word, we have to work efficiently and effectively, but working smart is a good way that we are gearing towards high EQ. So um, with our topic itself, that emotional intelligence 2.0, no, with the different it started before, and it was transformed into 2.0, wherein the pillars that I have discussed before, no, I think based on my research, there are only two, no, and but what we have discussed is already five. So it was converted now into EQ or emotional intelligence 2.0. To some companies now, high EQ earn an average of $29, okay, annually compared with the low EQ counterparts. So that's according to studies, no? Specifically that connects to with advocacy of Goldman related to EQ. So other studies also found that when companies hire for EQ, sales go up and turnover goes down. So just giving you idea that this is the trend now. No, this is the trend of how important EQ in workplace. You know, I one also input coming from the HR practitioners that I commonly encounter is that they look for, you know, from college students, not just they prefer all students that are student leaders as well. You know, they being magna cum laude, it's not so much of one of the requirement. They want these students who are good at the same time student leaders, because they know how to deal with people, different type of people, and they know how to manage time and manage conflict at the same time. Okay, and take note is that for us to be a better leader, we need to accept that EQ is a competency, no? And we take note that competency is an ability that we need to learn continuously. Okay, so it is ability to recognize and understand our own emotions with others. So individuals with high EQ tend to be less stressed. No? Take note of this. People with a high EQ relax but focused enough, they are less stressed and communicate better than their low EQ peers, because they empathize with others and manage their reactions to their own and others' emotions. How can EQ improve workforce engagement and productivity? Okay, so I have three recommendations here. Okay, sorry, I think I have four. So the first one, we become more aware of our own strength. Okay, and the blind spots, no, that we do not directly see comes to what we call emotional intelligence, that we need try to look at it and at the same time um, understand and acceptance that we need to strengthen that and be transparent enough that this is our own strength and blind spots. Okay. The second one is we learn to recognize stress and tensions in yourself and others, and we continuously um, look at it on how are we going to overcome or reduce it. Okay. And then the third one is we continuously find ways on how are we going to keep ourselves calm. No? You know, I've with my work experience in the industry, in the academia, in the universities, there are different type of people. No? Sometimes they call themselves they are calm, but they talk so high. No, but then at the end of the day, it's again it's acceptance, and how are you going to continuously share explain it to your team that at the end of the day we will go to our family and it's a different work, so stress is always part of the work, and at the end of the day we need to go home, go to our family, and balance our time. Okay, so the fourth one is embrace the fact that conflict and disagreement are not always bad. Sometimes raising voice just to give emphasis, and that's part, that's disagreements is also uh, the road leading to identifying the identifying the appropriate or the perfect decision for the team. So from that disagreements, that's a way that we promote how to be creative enough to engage those or pointing out our points to the team to raise or coming up with a good decision or good ideas. No? So again, conflict is not always bad, but always looking at it in the positive way, that conflict can always be converted or turned into positive opportunity. Okay. So before I end my talk, so always remember this, that yes, of course, IQ is important, but in this dynamic world that we have, always remember that IQ and EQ can always lead to success. Okay. So once again, thank you very much. And if you have questions or clarifications, feel free to ask me. Thank you.
A wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you so much. Um, the first of the things was and on the first slide, it said that there are what you call as 9 characteristics of highly emotional intelligent people. So does that mean that to be intelligent, to be emotionally intelligent, does that mean that you have to pay attention to how happy you are? Is that something that you should make a meter of or track statistically of how happy you are with either either the developers that you're working with or your testers that you're working with, and, or like that some of types of testing that both types of testing that you're doing as a business analyst is it works well. So how do you emotionally and statistically gauge that?
I'm on mute. I think that your statement a while ago is that for you to be high emotional, high EQ, should be happy, right? I think you mentioned that, right? When you talk about happiness, we have different definition of happiness. We are all different, and happiness defined on who we are. EQ talks about, it's not just about our own happiness, but acceptance that even though we don't like that something, but it is considered happiness to others. That's accepting that. So that's part that you know how to understand the feelings of others. So that's part of measuring EQ.
And then, but with the EQ, with EQ, does but how do you say that you said to develop emotional intelligence, is that emotional intelligence you have to develop emotional intelligence that you expose yourself to a range of perspectives. How do you does that mean you read more books or something like that?
What I mean is that in a different workplace, we have we can say that we have different mind setting, maybe different perspectives, right? Maybe different maybe different vision, with respect to addressing a particular target or concern. Now, what I'm talking about here is that despite of those differences, we have this way that we can still contribute to the objective of one's organization. Despite of that, all we have to do is to share on what we can contribute and be matured enough that we can, your idea and the other's idea, when we combine, can be a better solution to achieve those targets and goals of the organization. So that's what I'm talking about. So
I
it's a
see.
combination of those.
That's fantastic. And I think achievement when especially when it comes to understanding the core factors of what client needs. For example, my client is the Bank of Japan. So Bank of Japan. I mean, to be able to understand perspectives, and so the range of emotions that they're going through. So do I say that, can I gauge that? No, are you happy? I mean, is my client, is my client happy? Am I able to understand their slight changes in their emotion, to be able to add value and to be able to delight them, to make them happy, right? So is there factors where you gauge a client's emotional intelligence as well?
Yes, yes. Understanding that what we're talking about is understanding that the different culture, culture differences, um, looking at it that they have possibly sometimes, why is it that they were not able to address our concerns, or how is it that they were not able to deliver on basis of agreement? So looking at, or still trying to understand or learning that kind of culture that they have, that's part that you are open enough, to understand those things and try to catch up on how are we going to deal those conflicts. And
That
that's
makes sense.
part of EQ.
So that makes sense. So the conflicts come, but do they understand from understanding the piece, understanding how to be at peace? For example, emotionally, if I'm not at peace, I can't understand myself. I can't understand others. I can't. And so there's there's like uh, th- there's a panic, loss of panic and stuff. So how do you, with those conflicts, is there a way to combine them, to manage ultimate peace between your stakeholders?
Yes, yes, sir. So, when you talk about stakeholders, no, they are different part of the, or contributors of the process that we are into to achieve those goals. Can be in a different way, but at the end of the day, we need to consider all those things as an input to improving, to improve or give solution to a particular conflict or problem, right? So what we can do is that every portion of the decision making, they are always part of it, and that's part of the level of EQ, of accepting everyone can contribute to the achievement of the goal of the team.
Acceptance of others as well. And
Yes.
does that come over of time, and how do you practice being emotionally intelligent, to be able to be more aware of how emotionally intelligent you are, especially with gathering requirements, which is highly technically, and machine language orientation, which has technical writing perspectives to it, that you combine visions, and be emotionally understanding of those of clients with the implementing new technology.
Yeah. So normally, the practice that I do is that sometimes, in reality, you cannot please everybody, right? So sometimes the idea is like this, they don't agree with this, but I always try to consider that you know uh, ideas coming from, for example, in a collaborative work, right? So I always practice like a due process. Even though that they don't like, but I invite them in a meeting wherein they still have this opportunity, and then just professional works, show to them how professional works should be, giving them always an opportunity since they are part. So I always practice that, and that gives them, and when they see that you have a good trust and respect with your colleagues, I think positively success will happen, as long as you are professional enough with your words and deliverables, and sharing it with the team. I think that that's part of being matured enough in dealing with the deliverables, and that's part of, I can say, also self-motivation. Despite of these difficulties and conflicts with the others, yet you are still motivated enough to achieve of what is expected for you to deliver. I hope you got my point.
Yes, thank you, Professor. I really appreciate that also. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate that again. Thank you so much. Sir. That was really helped. So I think a focus on further reading as well, which is probably, like, you said Daniel Goleman was that, and that really helps. So thank you so much.
Are there any more questions? Actually, I can share with the team. I downloaded sample. This is just an initial, I must forget, the emotional intelligence self-assessment. So you can actually download this, so that you can self-assess yourself. Where are you with respect to emotional awareness, emotional management, and social awareness? Okay, so from that, relationship management, wherein there's a score, wherein there's an interpretation for that. So for your score is 0 to 24, it requires more attention on the development. And then for 25 to 34, strengthening. And if you have this 35 to 40, you are already on the leverage to develop more with your enhanced skills. Okay. That's all. Thank you. Any more questions coming from the participants? Or you may chat type in the top chat box, I mean. Thank you also. I appreciate your questions, and the questions that you have is really, I feel it coming from the heart. You are really interested on how are we going to continuously develop ourselves as far as maybe I can share it here. I already shared in the chat box, the emotional intelligence self-assessment. Hope this will help to everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful topic, very engaging. I think we will all leave here a bit more inclined to improve, on our own emotional intelligence as well. So thank you so much for that, Phil. And before I forget, I just have to quickly thank our sponsor. Our primary sponsor is Droxon Corp, a construction management company. It is an ISO 9001 2015 certified company. And Droxon Corp actually talks about business analysis, project management, quantity surveying, contact management, construction management. So you can go ahead and check out their page. I will plug that in our chat. All right. So thank you very much to our main sponsor. And I think we also have Jophil here. Jophil, you want to say anything?
I think Jophil is attending as well.
Hello, Jophil.
He's one of the attendees.
Did I forget to allow him to talk?
Maybe he can be classified as panelist. Maybe it's just on the list of the attend.
Can we get this recording through email?
Absolutely, absolutely. We will be distributing the recording soon after the event, and we will also be distributing a follow-up email, which if you are pursuing IIBA certification, you can use it as
PDF.
it will be credited as professional development hours. So yeah, thank you so much again, sir, Doc Phil, for this. I wish I could figure out why. Okay. Joe Phil, can you talk?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm gonna stop this recording already. We don't want this as part of the recording. Yes.